Hello everyone, welcome to WebDev Warrior. In today's video, we are going to build a landing page using the latest version of Next.js, which is Next.js 16. We're also going to use TypeScript and Tailwind CSS in this project. So let me show you the full demo of this landing page. So if I reload the page, you can see we have animation to our project. We have our Navbar section, our hero section. And if I start scrolling, you will see we have scroll animation in our project. So you can see we have beautiful section with scroll animation and all of this. Now here we also have a button, and if I click here it will go to the top. So it says scroll to top button. So if I show you the landing page again, you will see this landing page looks amazing. It have the premium design and it's a simple landing page. And this landing page is fully mobile responsive. So if I inspect and if I select a mobile device, you can see in mobile device it fit perfectly. We have this button, so if I click here it will open the sidebar and you can see how smooth it is and looks amazing. And if I scroll, you will see every section here fit perfectly in the mobile devices. And if I select another device like the iPad, you will see in the iPad it also fit perfectly. And we have our sidebar also. So our project is fully mobile responsive. So in this video, I'm going to teach you everything from scratch. I'm going to teach you how you can initialize a Next.js project, how you can structure your file, how you can create a reusable component. I will teach you the routings in Next.js. I will teach you how you can work with third-party libraries and a lot of things. And finally, I'm going to teach you how you can deploy your project in live server. So there's a lot of things that you are going to learn from this video. So I encourage you to watch the full video for better understanding. And the source code and the starter file of this project will be given in the description. You can check it out. And if you have any question related to this project, you can ask me in the comment section. So without wasting any time, let's start building this amazing landing page. Now we are going to set up our project. So first I'm going to create a folder inside my PC and I'm going to name it Next Landing. Then I'm going to open this with Visual Studio Code. And then I'm going to open a new terminal. I'm going to close this GitHub Copilot. And here I'm going to first use, not here, npx create next app at the rate latest, and I'm going to use a dot slash so that all the package are installed in this next landing folder. Then I'm going to hit enter and I'm going to click Y to proceed. And here it asked, would you like to use the recommended Next.js defaults? So you can go with the default Next.js features, or you can use your own previous setting, or you can customize the setting using your own preference. So for me, I use this recommended defaults that the Next.js gave us. So I'm going to use this and hit enter. So now this will install all the necessary package to initialize a Next.js project. So let's wait some time to complete the installation. The installation is completed. So I'm going to minimize this little more, and here you can see it generated a lot of different types of file. So here we have tsconfig.json. You do not need to do anything here. Readme, post CSS, package.json is our JSON file. We have package log.json. We have our next config. Here you can configure your Next.js. And we have this next ND. We do not need to do anything. Our main directory is this app directory. And here we have our favicon, then we have our global CSS, and here I'm going to remove all of this because we do not need anything. We're going to start from the scratch. Then we have this layout.tsx. This is the wrapper component. So it wraps our entire project. So for example, here it render our children. If I add a footer and a not footer, let's say navbar at the top, navbar, and here if I add a footer, then all of our pages that we're going to create here will have this navbar and footer attached to it. So this layout wrap our project. So we're going to work on this layout a little later. Then we have this page.tsx. When you go to the localhost 3000, this page will appear to the screen. So now I'm going to remove all of this, and then I'm going to use a shortcut RAFC to create a component boilerplate, and I'm going to name it homepage. So to use the shortcut, you need to install a extension. The extension you need to install is this one, ES7 React Redux React Native Snippet. By installing this, you can use this RAFC shortcut to create the component boilerplate. Now here I'm going to add some Tailwind class name. So let's use text 7XL and text rate 700 to see if our Tailwind is working or not. Then I'm going to use npm run dev to run our project. And then I'm going to open a browser and I'm going to go to the localhost 3000. So here you can see we have our homepage text larger and different color, the red color that we apply. That means our tailwind is working properly. Now I'm going to remove this because we do not need this styling. Next, in the public, I'm going to create a folder called images. And here I'm going to copy some images that we are going to use. And don't worry, the images will be given in the starter file, and the starter file is in the description. So check it out. And I'm going to copy this and paste it in the image folder. That's it. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to split our terminal, and here I'm going to install a package for icons. The package we are going to use is React Icons, because in our project we are going to use some icons, and for the icons we are going to use a icon library which is React Icon. So I'm going to use npm I react dash icon, and I'm going to hit enter. So it installed successfully. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to configure our font and metadata in layout.tsx. So it gave us some default font, but we're not going to use this. So I'm going to remove this. And here you can see it imports some font from Google Font. So here I'm going to import a font called Rubik. Then here I'm going to create a const font, and then I'm going to use the Rubik, And here we're going to pass some properties here. First, the font weight. We're going to use 300, 400, 500, 700, and then 800 and 900. So we're going to use all the available font weight. Then we're going to use the subset, which is Latin. That's it. Then here I'm going to remove this and I'm going to use font dot class name. That's it. Next, here we have our metadata. Metadata is very important for SEO purposes. And here I'm going to use a title like Next.js landing page, and you can use your own description about the landing page. So I'm going to use a modern landing page built with Next.js 16. That's it. Now, if I go to our project, so here you can see we have our home page, and at the top you can see we have Next.js landing page, our metadata. And if I inspect and if I hover on our text, you will see it says font 16 pixel Ruby. That means our font list also works properly here. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a component folder. Components, and here I'm going to create a helper folder for our helper component and a home folder for our home component. And inside the home folder I'm going to create a home.tsx, and I'm going to use RFC to create a component boilerplate, and I'm going to add this in our page. So here I'm going to use our home. So the home page will render the home component, and the home component will contain the home page related components like the hero section, the other section. That will make our home page component clean. And here in our home, I'm going to add a class name of overflow hidden, because we do not want any overflow. Now if I go to our project, here you can see we have our home text. That means our home page render our home component. So this is it for our project setup. Now I'm going to teach you the basic routings in Next.js 16. So let's go to the page.tsx. So when you go to the localhost 3000, this home page will appear to the screen. So here we have localhost 3000. Now let's say you want to create a about page like this one, localhost 3000 slash about. Now let's say you want to create nested routes like localhost 3000 slash about slash team. And now let's say you want to create a dynamic route. For example, localhost 3000 slash about slash team slash, let's say, the team member name like member1. So if you want to create all of this in Next.js, what you need to do, I'm going to teach you it now. So we already have the localhost 3000, this page. Now let's create this about page. So to create this, you need to create a folder in the app folder, and you have to name it the name you want after the slash. For example, here we want about page, so I'm going to name it about. And inside this, you need to create a page.tsx, and it is most important, you have to name it page.tsx, otherwise it will not work. And here I'm going to use RFC to create a component boilerplate, and let's say about page. Now if I go to our project and let's go to the slash about, and here you can see we have our about page. So it's the about page. So we successfully created a about page in our Next.js project. And you can see how easy it is to create new page in Next.js. Now next, the nested routing. So this one. So we need the about and then the tip. So we first need to create the about to go to this localhost 3000 slash about. Now inside this about we have team. So what we're going to do is inside this about folder we're going to create another folder and we're going to name it team, and inside this we're going to create a page.ess, and here I'm going to use RFC to create a component boilerplate, and let's name this team page inside about page. And if I hit save and if I go to our project and let's go to the localhost 3000 slash about slash team and hit enter, now you can see team page inside about page, and you successfully created a nested route in Next.js. Awesome. Next, let's create this dynamic route. So where we have slash about slash team, so we already have about, and inside this about we have team, and then inside this we are going to create our dynamic route. So for the dynamic route what we need to do is we need to use this third bracket, and here and inside this you can use any name you want. So here we will use name for this URL slash team slash member name. For example, it can be any name, John, Jane, any name. So that's why I'm making it name. You can use ID if you want. And then inside this, we're going to create a page.css. And I'm going to use RFC to create a component boilerplate. And let's name this dynamic. Sorry. So here, let's name it dynamic routing. Now if I hit save and go to our project and in team and let's say John, if I hit enter, now we are in the dynamic routing. Awesome. So you successfully created a dynamic routing. But now the question is how you can access this name. So to do this, you need to use the parent, and then you need to use an async to make this a async wait function, because in Next.js 16 to get the params is an asynchronous operation. So here we'll get the name using await params dot name, and let's use the name here, and it gave us the complaint because we do not use the TypeScript here, and this is just for the demo purposes to teach you the routing. So that's why I'm not going to use the TypeScript here, but in our actual project we're going to use TypeScript a lot. So for now let's save the page and go to our project, and here you can see we have our name. Let's change this to JSON, and now you will get the name JSON here. So that's how dynamic routing works. Now you can use this name to search for this person's profile. So now you learn how to create other pages, nested routing, and dynamic routing. So I'm going to delete this about because we do not need it, so it's deleted. Now you have a better understanding of how Next.js routing works. Now we're going to build the Navbar. So if I show you the Navbar in our deployed version, here you can see we have a logo, some nav links and a button. So to build this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new folder inside my home, and I'm going to name it Navbar. And inside this, first I'm going to create a nav.tsx. This is for the desktop navigation bar. I'm going to use RFC to create a component boilerplate, and then I'm going to create another one for our sidebar, which is mobile nav.tsx. I'm going to use RFC to create the component boilerplate. This will contain the sidebar, and I'm going to create another one which is wrapper nav.tsx. This will wrap our navbar and mobile navbar. So I'm going to use RFC to create the component boilerplate, and then here in the wrapper nav I'm going to add our nav and the mobile nav. That's it. And then in the layout we are going to add our navbar so that all the page have this navbar common. So before the children I'm going to add our wrapper nav. That's it. So now if I go to our project, here you can see we have our nav, mobile nav and the home text. So for now I'm going to remove the text from here, from the nav, from the mobile nav and from the home. So we have a empty page with nothing. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a constant folder. And here I'm going to add our constant properties. So I'm going to create a constant dot ts, and here first I'm going to export a constant which is our nav links. So I'm going to create a constant variable for our nav links so that we can change our nav links later easily, and we do not need to do anything in our navbar component. We can just change it in our constant. So that's why we're using this constant. So here this one will be an object, array of object, which will contain an id. So first one is 1, then a url. So I'm going to use a hash here, and then a label. The label for the first one will be home. So I have 6 more. So here export, then we need to add the constant, and I'm going to copy this 6 more time. Then the second one will have the id 2, and the label will be features. Then id 3, the label will be services. Then the id will be 4, and the label will be reviews. Then the id will be 5, and the label will be pricing. Then id 6, and this one will be contact. So basically we do not need the last one. We have 6 nav links. So by doing this you can easily add 1 or 2 nav links here, or you can remove one from here. So these are constant nav links variable. Now let's go to our component, our navbar and nav.tsx, and here the first div have a class name of, we're going to add a transition property. Transition up. So why we use transition? So if I show you the deployed version, here you can see when I start scrolling, it changes background color and we have this shadow now. So we want to have a smooth transition here. That's why we use the transition on. So after the transition all, we are going to use a duration of 200 millisecond. Then height will be 12, VH, Z index will be 100. This one will be fixed with full. That's it. Now inside this we have a div. Div have a class name of flex item center. Height will be full. Justify between, not baseline, justify between with 90%, and extra large with 80%, and MX will be auto. Now inside this div, first we have our logo. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a helper component here for our logo. So logo.tsx. Here I'm going to create a logo using our code. If you want, you can use any image for the logo. So here I'm going to use RFC to create a component boilerplate, and I'm going to hit save, and then in the Navbar I'm going to add our logo component. That's it. So now if I go to our project, here you can see we have our text logo here. Now let's create the logo. So let's go to the logo.tsx, and here the first div have a class name of flex items center SpaceX2. That's it. Now inside this div we'll have another div with class name of width 10, height 10, bg rate 600, rounded full, flex items center, justify center, and flex will be in the column direction. That's it. Now inside this I'm going to use a icon which is fa task from our React icons, and this icon have a class name of width 5, height will be 5, text white. That's it. And then after this div we'll have a h1 with the text of task flow, and this h1 will have a class name of text excel hidden smaller devices block medium screen text to excel text gray 800 font bold, and that's it. Now if I hit save and go to our project, now you can see we have our logo just like this one. Awesome. Next we have our nav links. So let's go to the nav.tsx. After the logo we have our nav links. So here we're going to use a div with class name of hidden. Our the link nav links will be hidden, and in large screen this one will be flat. So in mobile screen this one will be hidden, and we will have our sidebar. Items will be center, SpaceX will be 10. That's it. Now inside this div we're going to use our nav links constant. We're going to import it, and then we're going to map through it. We will get the individual link, and we're going to return a link component from our next link, and this link for the href we're going to use link dot url. Then for the key we're going to use link dot id, and here we're going to add some class name of text black. In the hover text red 600, font medium, transition all, and duration 200 milliseconds. And inside this link, we're going to use a p tag with link dot label. That's it. So now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our nav links with hover effect. Awesome. Next, we have this get started for free button. So after the nav links, we have our buttons. So here we will have two buttons. So I'm going to use a div with class name of flex item center and SpaceX4. Now inside this div we'll have a button. So the button text will be get started for free, and this button have a class name px6 py3 rounded full font semi-bold text small cursor pointer in the hover bg rate 800 transition all duration 200 millisecond bg will be rate 600 text color will be white. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our get started for free button. So let's add a comment here, get started button, and after this button we will have our burger menu to open our sidebar. So here I'm going to use an icon called high bars bottom right, and this icon will have a class name of width 8 height 8 cursor pointer text black, and LG large screen will be hidden. Now if I hit save and go to our project, and here it's not showing because we use the hidden property, but in the mobile screen it will be shown. So in the mobile screen our nav links is hidden and we have our burger menu. So it looks nice. Next what we are going to do is, so if you notice when I start scrolling it have a shadow and it become fixed. So now we are going to add this feature. So for this, first in the home I'm going to add some height so that we can check this effect. So let's say 2000 pixel. Now let's go to the nav, and here another thing we need to do is we need to convert this into a client component. In Next.js 16 all the component by default is server component, and in server component you cannot use any kind of hooks, it will give you a error. So to use hooks you need to convert your component into a client component, and we can convert it using this use client hook, use client directive at the top. Now here I'm going to create a state variable, so const navbg and set nav bg, and I'm going to use state, and initially this one will be false. That's it. Now in our projects everything works, but let's see what happens if I remove this. So now if I hit save, and now you can see it will give us an error. So we have to convert our component into a client component using this use client directive at the top. So now the error is gone. Next, here I'm going to use a use effect hooks and then a dependency array, and inside this I'm going to create a function called handler, and inside this I'm going to check if window dot scroll in the y, if it is greater than or equal to 90 pixel, then we are going to set our navbc to true. Otherwise we are going to set our navbc to false. That's it. And then here we're going to add an event listener to our window. So window dot add event listener, we're going to listen for the scroll event, then we're going to call our handler. That's it. And it is best practice to clean up our event listener in the cleanup function. So I'm going to use return, and then I'm going to copy this, and we're going to change this from add event listener to remove event listener. That's it. So now we have a navbc variable. So based on this, we are going to change our styling. So what I'm going to do is our first div, we're going to convert this into a template literal format so we can inject some dynamic classes here. And we're going to use the template literal, and then I'm going to remove this double quotation, and here I'm going to check if the navbc, if it is true, we're going to use bg white, shadow will be empty, otherwise we'll just have the fixed positioning. That's it. So now if I hit save and go to our project, and if I start scrolling, so nothing happens. Let's reload the page. So now if I start scrolling, you can see we have our shadow and it looks amazing. So it's completed. Now let's go here and remove the extra height from here, and that's it. And if I inspect, now we have this button and the menu bar. Next we are going to implement our sidebar. So let's go to our mobilenap.tsx, and here the first div inside this div. So if I show you the Navbar, the responsive nav, here you can see we have a button. By clicking this, first we have a black overlay come to the screen, and then the main component of the sidebar comes to the screen. So first we have this overlay. So here inside this div, first we are going to use a overlay, and here I'm going to use a div with class name of fixed, inset will be 0, transform, then we are going to use transition all because we need a smooth effect. So transition all, duration will be 500 millisecond, z index will be 1002, bg will be black, and opacity 70, width full, and height will be screen. So now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our black overlay. Awesome. Next, after this overlay, we'll have our nav links. And here I'm going to use a div with class name of text white, fixed, justify center, then we have flex. Flex will be in the column direction, height full, not fit, height will be full. We're going to use transform, transition all, duration 500 millisecond, delay will be 300 milliseconds because we want that first the overlay come to the screen and then the main sidebar. That's why we are using a delay. Then width will be 80%. A smaller device width will be 60%. BG weight 600 and space Y 6 and Z index will be 1050. That's it. Now inside this we're going to use our nav links from our constant and we're going to map through it. We'll get the individual link and then here we're going to return a link from our next link, and this link we're going to add a key of link.id and then a href of link.url. That's it. Now inside this I'm going to use a p with our label, so link.label. Now the p tag we're going to add some class name, so text white with fit. Text will be 20 pixel, margin left will be 12, border will be bottom and 1.5 pixel, then padding bottom will be 1, border white, and smaller device and larger screen text will be 30 pixel. That's it. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our sidebar with this link and we need this cross icon. So after the nav links, inside this we'll have our cross icon. So here I'm going to use CG close icon from React icon, and this icon will have a class name of absolute, top will be 0.7 RAM, then right will be 1.4 RAM. In smaller devices width will be 8, smaller devices height will be 8, width 6, height 6. So now if I hit save and go to our project, so here we have our close icon. So now it looks exactly like this one. Next we need to add the responsive functionality. So for that let's go to the wrapper nav and we're going to convert this into a client component using use client, because we are going to use hooks here. And here first I'm going to create a state variable called showNav and set show nav, and I'm going to use state and false. Then I'm going to create a function called openNav handler, and here I'm going to set our showNav to true. Then I'm going to create another one, so const close nav handler, and this one will set our showNav to false. That's it. So these are openNav and closeNav handler function. Now we are going to pass this to our nav and mobile app. For the navbar, we are going to pass the openNav function, and we are going to pass the props as a openNav, and we are going to pass openNav handler function. And in the mobile nav, we are going to pass the showNav variable as a props of showNav, so showNav, and then a close nav, and here we're going to pass our close nav handler. Now it give us warning because we don't have the proper typing here. Now we're going to add TypeScript here. So first let's go to the nav. So in the navbar we are receiving a props. So we have to write the props type properly. So first we're going to use type, and then I'm going to name this props. You can name it anything you want. You can name it nav props, or you can name it your own name. And here the props we are receiving is open nav. And the open nav type, the type of the open nav is a function which returns void. That's it. Now we're going to pass it here as a props, and we are going to import the open nav. And when we click on this burger menu, so on click, we're going to run our open nav. That's it. Next, let's go to the mobile nav. So in the mobile nav, I'm going to use the type. So type, and I'm going to use the name prop. Here, first we're receiving the props shown, and the type of the shown props is boolean. We are also receiving a closed nav, which is a type of function that returns void. That means it doesn't return anything. And here I'm going to pass this as a props and import this close nav and show nav. And here in the close icon, in the on click, we're going to run our close nav. That's it. Now, based on this show nav, we're going to show the sidebar, or we are going to hide the sidebar. So here I'm going to create a constant, and I'm going to name it, let's say, nav open close condition. Let's say open close style. So here we're going to check if the show nav, if it is true, then we're going to show the nav using translate x of 0. If it is not true, we are going to not show. So we are going to use translate x minus 100%. That's it. Now we have to add this in our overlay as well as in our nabling step. So I'm going to convert this into a template literal format, remove the double quotation, and here I'm going to add our nav open close style, and we're going to do same for this one. So I'm going to convert this into template literal form, and then I'm going to add our nav open close style. Now if I hit save and go to our project, and here if I click, you can see the navbar opens beautifully with the animation, and you can see the smooth animation here. And in the mobile, in the desktop view, we have these nav links buttons, and this is the mobile view, and it is fully responsive. We can open or close our navbar. Awesome. So our every functionality works perfectly in the navbar. So our navbar is completed. Next, we are going to build the hero section. So if I show you the hero section, here you can see we have some text, a email box, and a image. So to build this, I'm going to create a new folder inside my home, and I'm going to name it hero. And then inside this, I'm going to create a hero.tsx. And then I'm going to use RFC to create a component boilerplate. Then I'm going to add it here in our home component. So hero. That's it. Now, if I go to our project, so here you can see we have our text hero at the top. Now for the first div, we're going to add a class name of relative, then with full height will be 145 VH. In medium screen, height will be 120 VH. In large screen, the height will be 160 VH. Item center, then flex, and justify center. Flex will be in the column direction. That's it. So now if I go to our project, so here you can see we have our hero section with this text at the middle, and we have this scroll bar because we use the height property here. Then inside this we have a div with class name of relative. Then inside this div we'll have another div, and this one is the circle. So if I go to the deployed version, here you can see we have a circle. So this div is for the circle, and here we'll have a class name of width 36, height 36, rounded will be full. Then we have minus top of 16, minus left of 10, bg will be YOLO 300, and absolute, and minus z 10. That's it. So now if I go to our project, so here you can see we have our YOLO box, just like this one. Then after this we have our heading text, and here I'm going to use h1 with class name of text 3xl, smaller devices, text 4xl, in medium screen, text 5xl, in larger screen, text 6xl, font bold, text center, and text gray 800. That's it. The text I'm going to copy it from here. So copy this and paste it here, and after this way 2 we're going to add a break tag. So now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our text, the intelligent way to manage projects. Awesome. So next we have this mini subheading, or we can say the description. So I'm going to copy this, and after this h1 we have subheading, and here we have a p tag with this text, and after this that we're going to use a break tag. And now this p tag have a class name of margin top of 6, text base, smaller devices, text will be LG, in large screen, text XL, leading will be 8, text center, and text gray 500. So now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our main heading, and then we have this subheading. Next we have this email box. So after this p tag we have a div. So let's add a comment here that the email box. So here we have a div, and the div have a class name of height 20, rounded full, margin top of 8, in medium screen px4 width 95%, in medium screen width will be half, in a larger screen width will be 1/3, border will be 2, border gray will be 300, and flex items center justify between. That's it. Now inside this we have our inside this we have our input. So we are going to use the input type text, and this input have a class name of height 90%, outline none. Then we have margin left 4, and the placeholder text gray 600, text gray will be 600, rounded full, and the placeholder will be placeholder at the rate email, enter your email. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here we have our email box, but it doesn't look like this one. So let's check. So here we have a mistake, and that is this part from this P to this input box, this will be outside of this div. So this relative div is for this heading only. So after that we'll have our subheading, email box, and input. Now if I hit save and go to our project, now you can see it looks good, just like this one. Next we have the button. So after the input we have our button, and here I'm going to use a button with the text start now, and this button will have a class name of bg orange 600, cursor pointer in the hover, the bg will be orange 400, transition all, and the duration will be 200 millisecond, px8 height will be 70%, margin right 2, in medium screen margin right will be 0, text small, text wide, rounded full. That's it. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our start now button, just like this one. Awesome. Next we have the image. So after this div, the email box, we will have our image, and here we'll have a div, and this div have a class name of margin top of 10, and then inside this div we'll have a image from next image, and this image will have a source of slash images slash hero.png, and the alt will be image, the width 500, and the height 500. That's it. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see Now our component looks awesome. We have our images and the hero section. It looks like this one. And let's check the responsiveness. So if I inspect and select a mobile device, you can see in mobile device it fit perfectly. We have our sidebar also, and this sections looks nice, just like this one, our deployed version. And if I select another device like the iPad, you can see in iPad it also fit perfectly. So our hero section is completed. Next, we are going to build the about section. So if I show you the about section, here you can see we have an image and some description. So for that, I'm going to create a new folder in my home and I'm going to name it about. And inside this, I'm going to create a about.tsx, and then I'm going to use RFC to create a component boilerplate, and then I'm going to add this in our home. After the hero, we'll have our about. That's it. Now if I go to our project, so here you can see we have our text about. And now let's go to the about.tsx, and here the first div have a class name of py24, bg will be hash 6a26da. Now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see we have our background change, and then inside this div we'll have another div with class name of with 80% mx auto grid calls 1 in a larger screen, grid calls 2 item center gap 8. That's it. Now inside this first we have an image, so I'm going to use a div, and inside this div we'll have our image from next image, and this image, the source will be slash images slash about.png, the all, let's say about, then the width 800 and the height 800. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here we have our image. Awesome. So then after the image we will have our text content. So here we have a div, and inside this div first we have the heading, and here I'm going to use h1 with the class name of text 3xl, smaller device, text 4xl, text color white, in medium screen, text 5xl, in a larger screen, text 6xl, font bold. That's it. And inside this we'll have this text. I'm going to copy it from here, and then I'm going to paste it inside, and then we're going to add some break tag here. So for the first one will be here the best feature, and then the second one will be after this project management. That's it. So now if I go to our project, and now we have our heading. Awesome. So after the heading we have this to list. So let's go to our project. So after this h1 we have our list. So here we have a div with class name of margin top of 10, and then inside this div we have another div with class name of width 16, height 16. rounded full. BG will be orange 400. Flex item center, justify center. Flex will be in the column direction. That's it. And then so here we have another div after the main div. So this one will be list one. Here we'll have a div with class name of flex item center and space x5, and inside this div we will have this div. So cut it from here and paste it inside, and then inside this div we will have an icon which is ci grid 42 from React icon, and we're going to add a class name of text white with 10 height 10. Now if I hit save and go to our projects, where you can see we have our first circle box. Then after this div we have another div, and this div will have a class name of flex1. Then this div will have a h1, and the text for the h1 I'm going to copy it from here and paste it here. Then we'll have a p tag, and I'm going to copy the text from here and paste it here. Now here we have a warning, so we can quick fix with and replace the quotation mark with this quote. Now this h1 have a class name of text to excel font medium, and then we have text white. That's it. Then we have a p tag with class name of text white margin top 2 smaller devices, which will be 2 by 3. That's it. So now if I hit save and go to our project, and here you can see we have our first list just like this one. Then we have another one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this list one from here and paste it underneath, and this one is the list 2. We're going to change some of this. So here the background will be bg green 400. We're going to change the icon here. We're going to use md outline message. That's it. And we're going to change the title here, and this one will be communicate fast. That's it. So now if I hit save and go to our project, so here we have, but we don't have any gap. So what we can do is for the second list we can add a margin top of 6. So now if I hit save, and now if I go to our project, now we have a gap and it looks exactly like this one. Now let's check the responsiveness. So if I inspect and select a mobile device, you can see in mobile device it looks good. So let's check it here. So you can see it looks like this deployed version here. And if I check in the iPad, you can see in iPad it also fit perfectly. So our about section is completed. Next, we're going to build the why choose section. So if I show you the why choose section, here you can see we have some heading, some description, button, and an image. So to build this, I'm going to create a new folder inside my home, and I'm going to name it why choose. And inside this I'm going to create a file called why choose.tsx, and I'm going to use RFC to create a component boilerplate, and I'm going to add this in our home. So after the above, we're going to have our why choose section. So now if I hit save and go to our project, and you can see we have our text why choose. Now let's go to the why choose.tsx, and here the first div have a class name of py16. Then inside this we'll have another div with class name of, so class name with 80%, smaller devices, margin top will be 16, mx auto, grid calls 1, in larger screen grid calls 2, and item center gap 8. That's it. Now inside this, first we have our text content, and here I'm going to have a div, and inside this div we have another div with class name of text 3xl, smaller device, text 4xl, in medium screen, text 5xl, in larger screen, text 6xl, font bold, smaller device, width will be 4 by 5. That's it. And inside this we'll have the text, the intelligent way to manage any project. You can use your own title if you want. So here add this a comment of title. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our text just like this one. Next we have this subheading, so I'm going to copy this, and here after the title we have subheading. So here I'm going to use a p tag, and I'm going to paste the text here, and the p tag will have a class name of text gray 600, text will be large, and margin top 6, smaller devices, width will be 4 by 5, 4 by 5. That's it. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here we have our text just like this one. Next we have the button. So after the p tag we'll have our button, and here I'm going to use a div, and inside this div we'll have a button, and the button have a class name of margin top of 6, text orange 400, font medium, cursor pointer, text large, and the button text will be get started now. That's it. Now if I go to our project, so here we have our button, but we need this underline here. So after the button we'll have our underline. So I'm going to use a pen and then have a class name of width 36, height 1, bg orange 400, margin top 2, block. And if I hit save and go to our project, so here we have our underline just like this one. Next we have this image. So after completing this text content, we have our image content, and here we're going to use a div, and inside this div we'll have our image from next image, and this image we're going to use a source of slash images slash w1.png all, let's say img, and then width 600, height 600. And now if I hit save and go to our project, and now you can see we have our image and it looks amazing just like this one. Let's check the responsiveness. So if I inspect and select a mobile device, here you can see in mobile device it fit perfectly. Let's check on the iPad. In the iPad it also fit perfectly and looks awesome. So if I inspect the deployed version, you can see deployed version it looks exactly like this one. So it looks great. So our why choose section is mobile responsive. So the why choose section is completed. Next, we're going to build the team connect section. So if I show you the team connect section in the deployed version, here you can see here we have an image and some text description. So if you notice that this section and these sections are almost similar, we just have different arrangement of our image and text, and that's it. So what I'm going to do is, first I'm going to create a new folder inside my home, and I'm going to name it team connect.css. Sorry, this one is the folder name, so we do not need the TSS, but inside this I'm going to create a team contact.css, and I'm going to use RFC to create a component boilerplate, and then I'm going to add this in our home. So team contact, that's it. And next what I'm going to do is I'm going to open my why choose sections, and I'm going to copy all of this code from here. So copy this, and then in the team connect I'm going to paste the text. So here we need to change something. So first, we still have this grading system. We have this padding y of 16, we have this with 80% and all of this, and then we need to import the image from next image, and now this image part is the first part, so I'm going to cut it from here and I'm going to add it at the top. So in the grid system, first we have image, then we have this text content, and now we need to change the image source. So this one will be w2 and other design will be same, and we need to change the title here. So I'm going to open the deployed version, so I'm going to copy the title from here and I'm going to paste it here, and we have the same subheading for this one also. Now if I hit save and if I go to our project now, so now you can see we have our team connect section, and it looks exactly like this one, the deployed version one. And if I check the responsiveness, so if I inspect, if I select a mobile device, you can see in mobile device it fit perfectly. If I check in the iPad it also fit perfectly. So our team connect section is completed. Next, we're going to build the download section. So if I show you the download section, here you can see we have a download section with some text and a download app button with two different background color. So to build this, I'm going to create a new folder inside my home and I'm going to name it download section, and inside this I'm going to create a file called download section.tss, and I'm going to use RFC to create a component boilerplate. And now here in the home.tsx I'm going to add our download section. That's it. Now let's go to the download section, and here the first div have a class name of width full, flex, justify center, mean height will be screen, items center, px4, py10. That's it. Now if I go to our project, so here you can see we have our download section. Now inside this div we have another div with class name of relative, then width full, max width 6 XL, mean height will be 180 pixel, then medium screen height will be 200 pixel, rounded 2 XL, overflow will be hidden, shadow will be LG, then we have flex and item center. That's it. Now inside this div we first have our background. So we have a div with class name of absolute inset 0 bz indigo 600. So now if I hit save and go to our project, so here we have our indigo background. Next we have our green section. So write green section, and here we have a div with class name of absolute right 0 top 0, then height full, medium screen with 50%, bg till 400. Now if I hit save and go to our project, now you can see we have our half till background. Next we have our content. So here we have a div with class name of relative z10 flex. In medium screen flex will be in the row direction, item start in medium screen, item center, justify between gap 6, width full, px6, medium screen px12, py6, the medium screen py0. That's it. Now inside this we have a h2 with the text get started by, then we have a break tag, and then we have downloading apps. Now this h2 have a class name of text white, text to excel, smaller device, text 3 excel, medium screen text 4 excel, font bold, leading tight, text center, a medium screen, text left, max with MD. That's it. And this beer tag, we're going to add class name of hidden, and smaller device, this one will be block. And now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see get started by downloading app, just like this one. Next we have this button. So after this h2 we have button. So here I'm going to use a button with the text download app, and this button have a class name of bg wide with full, smaller devices with auto, cursor pointer, text black, font semi bold, px6, smaller device px8, py3, rounded full, shadow MD. In the hover we have bg gray 100, transition, text base, smaller device, text large. That's it. So now if I hit save and go to our project, so here we have our download button. So if I inspect, so in the mobile device it's not look good. I think we have something missing, so let's check here. So after this flex we have flex in the column direction, and medium screen the flex will be raw. Now if I hit save, now it looks good. Now you can see in mobile device it looks good, and in the iPad it also looks good. So our download section is completed. Next we are going to build the footer section. So if I show you the footer section, here you can see we have 4 part with some footer links, address and images. So to build this, I'm going to create a new folder inside my home, and I'm going to name it footer, and inside this I'm going to create a file called footer.tsx, and then I'm going to use rsc to create a component boilerplate, and then I'm going to add this in our layout so that all the page have this footer comment. So here I'm going to add the footer. That's it. Now if I go to our project, so here you can see we have our text footer. Now let's go to the footer.tsx, and here the first div have a class name of width full bg white border top border will be gray 200, margin top 20. That's it. Now inside this div we have another div with class name of width 80%, mx auto px6 py14 grid calls 1, and then smaller device grid calls 2, extra large grid calls 4, and gap 10. That's it. Now inside this div we first have our first column, and here we have a div, and this div have a class name of space y4, and then inside this div we first have our logo, and then we have a p tag, and the content I'm going to copy it from here. So this is the content, so copy it and paste it here, and we're going to fix this with this quotation quote, and this p tag have a class name of text gray 500, text small, and leading will be relaxed. That's it. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our logo and we have this text, just like this one. Awesome. Next, after this first column we have our second column, and here we're going to use a div, and inside this div we first have a h3 with the text company. This h3 have a class name of text gray 400, font medium, margin bottom 6. That's it. Then we're going to use a ul, and this ul have a class name of space y4, space y4, text small, text gray 700. That's it. And then inside this div first we have a list item with the text about us, and here we have a class name of, in the hover, text black, the cursor will be pointer. That's it. So we have 5 more, so I'm going to copy it 4 more time, and then the second one will be privacy policy, the third one will be terms and conditions, the fourth one will be FAQ, and the last one will be contact. That's it. So now if I hit save and go to our project, So here we have our company section, just like this one, and we have this hover effect also. Awesome. Next, we have our column 3 with this address, phone number, and the email. So here, after the second column, we have our third column, and here we have a div, and inside this div we have a h3. So I'm going to copy it from here and paste it here, and the text here will be contact details. That's it. Now next we have a ul with class name of space y5. Then we have text small and text gray 700. That's it. Now inside this ul will have an li, and the li will have a class name of flex. Items will be star and gap 3. Now inside this li we have a span with class name of text pink 500 and text lg. That's it. And here we'll have a icon. So this is the icon, so I'm going to copy it from here and paste it here. And now I'm going to hit save, and then after this span we have another span, and inside this we have an address. Let's use Amsterdam, and then a break tag, and then Netherlands. That's it. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see contact details Amsterdam, Netherlands, just like this one. Awesome. So next we have another one. So I'm going to copy this li underneath, and this li we have the same class name, and here we're going to change the icon. So we're going to use this telephone icon. So copy this and paste it here, and then we're not going to use this span. We're going to use another div, and inside this div we have a p tag with the mobile number. Let's use a demo mobile number, and then we have another p tag with class name of text gray 400, and here we'll have 7 days, 8 a.m. and 10 p.m. So now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our mobile phone address just like this one. Next we have this. So I'm going to copy this li again. We're going to change the icon here. So we're going to copy the icon from here, and we're going to use it here, and then we're going to delete this div. We're going to use a single span, and here we're going to use the info@email.com. That's it. Now if I hit save and go to our project, and here you can see we have our info@email.com, just like this one. Awesome. Next we have this social part. So we completed the third column. Then we will have our fourth column, And here we have a div, and inside this div we have h3, so I'm going to copy it from here. So copy this and paste it here, and this one will be follow us on social media. Now hit save, and then we have a p tag. The content of the p tag, I'm going to copy it from here and paste it here. This p tag have a class name of text gray 500, then text small margin bottom 6. That's it. Then we have another div with class name of flex. Flex will be wrap gap to text small text gray 700 margin bottom 6. Now inside this we have a span with class name of, in the hover text will be black, and cursor pointer, that's it. And here this one will be Facebook, and I'm going to copy it two more times. The second one will be Twitter, and then the third one will be Instagram. That's it. So now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, just like this one, but we have this dot. So I'm going to copy this dot from here and I'm going to paste it here. So now if I hit save, now we have this dot. Awesome. And we have our hover effect. Next we have this payment image. So after this div we will have our payment image. So I'm going to use our next image component, and here we're going to add the source will be slash images slash footer dot png. Then we have the alt of payment methods. Then we have the class name of object contain. Then we have the width of 200 and height of 200. Now if I hit save and go to our project, we have our image. Awesome. So the footer looks exactly like this one, and next we have this final part. So I'm going to copy this copyright text from here, and then here we will have our bottom bar, and we're going to use a div, and I'm going to paste the text here, and I'm going to change it to WebDev Warriors, and this div have a class name of border top, border gray 200, py will be 6, text will be center, text small, text gray 200, no, text gray will be 500. That's it. So now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our copyright text and our footer looks amazing. Let's check the responsiveness. So if I inspect, and select a mobile device. In mobile device, you can see it fit perfectly. And let's check on the iPad device. In iPad device, it also fit perfectly. So our footer section is completed. Now we are going to build the scroll to top button. So if I show you this scroll to top button, here you can see we have a button. By clicking this, it will go to the top, and initially it's hidden, but when it starts scrolling, it will appear to the screen. So now we're going to build this functionality. So for that, I'm going to create a helper folder here, helper component here, and I'm going to name it scroll to top.css, and then I'm going to use RFC to create a component boilerplate, and then I'm going to add this in our layout after the footer so that all page have this feature. So scroll to top, and now let's go to the scroll to top, and here first I'm going to convert this into a client component using use client. Next, I'm going to create some state variable. So const is visible and set is visible, and I'm going to use state, and initially this one will be false. That's it. Then we're going to create a show hide button functionality. So this is the functionality to show or hide the button. So initially it's hidden, but when it starts scrolling, it will appear to the screen. So I'm going to use effect hooks with an empty dependency array, and inside this I'm going to create a toggle visibility function, and inside this we're going to check if window dot scroll in the y is greater than 300. We're going to set is visible to true, else we're going to set or is visible to false. That's it. Then we're going to use window dot add event listener, and we're going to listen for the scroll event, and we're going to call our toggle visibility. And it's a good practice to clean up the function. So we're going to use return and window dot remove event listener. We're going to listen for the same scroll event, and we're going to call out toggle visibility. That's it. So this is our show and hide the button functionality. Next we're going to create the scroll to top function. So this function will actually create the functionality for the button to clicking this go to the top. So here const scroll to top, to make it a smaller press, and here we're going to use window dot scroll to, not screen to, scroll to, and the top will be 0 and the behavior will be smooth. That's it. Next, in this first div, we're going to have class name of fixed, bottom 4, animate pause, right 4. That's it. Now inside this div, we're going to first check if is visible is true, And then we're going to use a button, and this button, when you click on this button, we're going to call our scroll to top, and we have a class name of bg of hash fc8936, cursor pointer, text white, rounded full, width 12, height 12, flex, item center, justify center, and the focus, the outline will be none. I'm going to hit save. Now inside this button, we're going to use fa arrow up. Now if I hit save and go to our project, and let's reload the page. If I start scrolling, you can see we have the button, and when I click this button, it will go to the top smoothly. And initially it's hidden, but as I start scrolling, it will appear to the screen. So our scroll to top functionality is completed. Now we're going to add some scroll animation and animation in our project to make it more attractive. In the deployed version, if I show you the animation, here you can see we have some awesome scroll animation that makes our project more attractive. So now we are going to add this animation. So to add this animation, we are going to use a third-party package, and the package is AOS, Animation on Scroll. It is a very popular and easy to use library to add animation in Next.js project. So if I go to their github.io page, here if you scroll, you can see they have different types of animation: fade up, fade left, fade right, fade down, flip animation, zoom animation, and much more. And the cool thing is you just need to add this data AOS property with the animation name, and it will do all the work. When you are in the view, it will automatically trigger the scroll animation. So it's very easy to use. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open their GitHub page, and here I'm going to copy their installation command. Then I'm going to paste it here to install AOS. And we are going to configure this in our home.tsf, and we need to convert this into a client component using use client. That's it. Next, we need to import this to AOS and AOS CSS file, and I'm going to paste it here. And when I hover, we need to install the type package also. So copy this line and paste it here and hit enter to install the corresponding type. Next, we're going to configure our AOS. So if you see here, we can use different types of options. So if you want, you can learn more about by reading their documentation. So let's go here, and inside this home, I'm going to use the use effect hooks, and we're going to use a empty dependency array. And inside this, I'm going to create a function called init AOS, and this one will be an async function. And inside this, I'm going to await import AOS. Then I'm going to use AOS.init, and we're going to pass some option here. So first one is the duration. I'm going to use 1000 millisecond, that means 1 second. The easing property will be is, then once will be true, then anchor placement will be top bottom. That's it. So now if I hit save, and then we need to call our init AOS function. That's it. So this is our configuration. Next, we're going to add our animation to our home page first. The hero section first. So let's open this hero section, and here first I'm going to add the animation to our this div, the circle. So here I'm going to use data-aos, and I'm going to use zoom in animation, and that's it. It is easy as that. Next, I'm going to copy this, and then I'm going to add the animation in our h1. So I'm going to paste it, and here I'm going to change the animation type, and I'm going to use fade up, and then I'm going to use data-aos-delay. So I'm going to add a 100 millisecond of delay. First this animation happen, and then this. After 100 millisecond, this animation will happen. Then I'm going to copy this. Next, we're going to add this to our p tag here and change the delay to 200 millisecond. Then I'm going to copy this, and then we're going to add this to our input box here, and this one will be 300 millisecond of delay. Next, we're going to add the animation to our image, and here I'm going to change the animation to zoom in, and the delay will be 300 milliseconds. That's it. So now if I hit save and go to our project, and if I reload the page, so you can see we have this beautiful animation. Awesome. And you can see how easy it is to implement the animation using this AOS library. Awesome. Next, we're going to add animation to our about section. So let's go to our about.tsx, and here I'm going to add the animation to the image. So in this step, so data-aos will be zoom in, and we're going to add another property which is data-aos-anchor placement, and we're going to change the anchor placement to top center. That's it. Now if we go to our project, and if I reload the page, so we have our initial animation, and if I start scrolling, we have this zoom in animation in our about section. Awesome. So if I show you again, so we have the initial animation and then this about section animation. Awesome. Next, we're going to add animation to our why choose section. So I'm going to copy this property from here, and then I'm going to open the why choose.tsx, and here we're going to add the animation to the image. So this one will be zoom in, and the anchor placement will be top center. If you want, you can change the animation, and you can use one that you like. So I'm going to hit save. Now if I reload, so we have our initial animation, then about animation, and then this why choose animation. So if I reload the page and show you again, you can see it looks awesome. Next, we're going to add animation to our theme contact. So let's go to the theme contact, and here we're going to add animation to the image. If you want, you can add animation to the text as well. So I'm just giving you the idea how you can add this. So here we're going to use data-aos and zoom in. We do not need anything here. So now if I go to our project, if I reload the page, so we have our initial animation, then this white choose, then this section, and finally this section. So next we're going to add animation to our this download section. So let's go to the download section, and here we're going to add the animation at the first div, so data-aos, and we're going to use zoom out here, and that's it. So now if I go to our project and if I reload the page, so we have our initial animation, then we have this about section, then why choose section, team connect section, and finally the download section. So the animation works perfectly. If I show you again, we have our initial animation, and if I start scrolling, we have our scroll animation, and you can see it looks amazing and makes our website more attractive. So our animation is completed. So we completed our landing page. We completed all the feature and the design. Now we need to deploy our project in live server. So we're going to deploy our project in Vercel. Before that, we need to push our project in GitHub. So first I'm going to open my GitHub account, and here I'm going to create a new repository, and I'm going to name this next landing YT, and I'm going to make this a private repository and then create repository. So this will create a repository in our GitHub. Next, go to the project and delete this and stop the terminal from running, clear it. And here first I'm going to use git init, then git add dot, then git commit dash m, and message like first commit, and we completed this one. Next, git branch dash m main, so copy this and paste it here. Then we need to add the remote origin, so copy this and paste it here. And finally we need to push our project, so git push dash u origin main and hit enter. So this will push our project in GitHub. So it's completed. Now if I reload the page, you can see we have our project in the GitHub. Next, open the Vercel dashboard. If you don't have any account, you can create one for free. And this is the Vercel dashboard. And here I'm going to create a new project. And I already connected my GitHub. So here you can see our project next landing YT. So I'm going to import this. And then I'm going to click here to deploy. The deployment started. Let's wait some time to complete the deployment. The deployment is completed. Now we are in the dashboard, and here now we have a domain. So if I click here, it will open our project in live server. So this is not the local host, this is the live server. Let's check if our project properly works on the live server. So if I reload the page, we have our scroll animation. If I start scrolling, we have our animation, and every section looks awesome, cool. And we have this button. By clicking this, it will go to the top. Let's check the responsiveness. So we have our sidebar, and if I scroll, everything looks awesome. Let's check in the iPad. So in the iPad, it also looks amazing. So now we have a link that you can share with others. You can add to your portfolio, you can add to your resume, or you can send it to your client to show your expertise in this field. So now our project is fully completed. We start from the scratch and we go all the way to the deployment. So I hope now you have a better understanding of how you can create a Next.js landing page or project. So that's it for today. If you have any question related to this project, you can ask me in the comment section, and please like, share and subscribe this channel for more interesting web development content. Thanks for today.